ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सह गणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees for our Gajendra Lila Katha series. This is, I believe, session 11 on our ongoing narrative discussion of this pastime. We have completed up to the second chapter of the 8th canto, a few concluding verses of the first chapter, and the whole of second chapter in great detail to the best of our ability. And now we have come to a certain point of our discussion where Gajendra is about to start offering his prayers. So I just want to do a quick recap for what has happened till now. Parikshit Maharaj initially asked a question about more details about the Hari avatar in the fourth Manvantara. Shukdev Goswami, when he starts describing the different Manvantaras, the different Manus, and the different incarnations of the Supreme Lord in each of the Manvantaras in the start of the 8th canto, Parikshit Maharaj, out of sincerity and deep curiosity, is listening, but he stops Shukdev Goswami at the point of the fourth Manvantara, where the Supreme Lord appears as Hari. And Parikshit Maharaj wants to know more clarification and elaboration on how this incarnation Hari, appearing from Harini and Hari Medha, saved an elephant from the jaws of the crocodile. So the pastime continues very beautifully, where Shukdev Goswami starts off by describing the whole scene. He describes the Trikuta mountain in great detail. He describes about the trees and the flowers. He makes many startling points about the description. And one may often wonder as to why Shukdev Goswami has done this. What is the need to describe all of this in such great detail? So the reason is there are two kinds of descriptions in the Bhagavatam. One is the positive description of the spiritual world, and one is the negative description of the material world. Now, the positive description that I am referring to are the descriptions of the Vaikuntha planets, the descriptions of the city of, let's say, Ayodhya, or the city of Dwarka, or let's say Krishna entering Vrindavan. There is descriptions about the spring season and how wonderfully the flowers are blossoming, the birds are chirping, and this is like the perfect climate where the breeze is carrying the pollen from the lotus flowers, and how the caves of Govardhan are so beautiful, etc. So one may think, why Shukdev Goswami is spending so much time describing the scenic beauty of Vrindavan? Or let's say why he's describing the extreme opulence of Vaikuntha. This is to show that this Vanashobha, the beauty of the Vrindavan forest, or the opulent exquisite beauty of the Vaikuntha planets are all expansions of the Swarup Shakti, or the internal potency. What that means is the descriptive beauty of Vrindavan is actually an expansion. Vrindavan Dham is an expansion of Srimati Radharani. The Dham is an expansion of the Antaranga Shakti, the internal energy, also called as the Swarup Shakti. So when you hear the descriptions of Vrindavan, it is actually non-different from the descriptions of Srimati Radharani, as it is a direct expansion. Krishna Balaram entering the forest of Vrindavan, all the birds, animals orchestrated by Brinda Devi, also the caves of Govardhan where the friends would play very beautiful, sweet pastimes, and so many other things that are described. They are all actually non-different from the description of Srimati Radharani's qualities or her bodily features, because Vrindavan Dham is non-different. And so, we could continue with even the other abodes. Let's say the descriptive beauty elaborated in the Bhagavatam for Vaikuntha is actually a description of the expansion of Lakshmi. And same goes for Ayodhya, same goes for Dwarka, being, let's say, for being the expansive beauty of the internal potencies there, the queens of Dwarka, like that. So it is beautiful to hear in that mode. On the other hand, the descriptions of heavenly planets, let's say the descriptions of Indra's abode, or the descriptions of the Trikuta mountain, they are actually an expansion of the material energy, Durga Devi. So why is there a need to describe that? Well, the reason is living beings oftentimes they forget the pains of this material world when they are with very beautiful scenic places. Let's say people want to have a break from their city life and they want to go far away. They want to go into the woods. They want to have a long drive. They want to go into the fields. They want to go into hill stations. I remember when we were in Mumbai, people would oftentimes talk about going to Mahabaleshwar, Matheran, Lonavala, and all of these places, and they'll also discuss the chikki available there. So people are very interested in going to the hill stations, seeing the waterfalls, clicking pictures, and being close to nature like that, away from the city life. And of course, it is not wrong, but it is beauty in the mode of goodness, but still it is not Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that the best position is to overcome all the modes of material nature and to be in Vishuddha Sattva. So tamasic descriptions are very dark, very damp, very slippery places, very dirty, muddy places. Those are the tamasic places. And the beings in the mode of ignorance love to stay there. They love to wander around in those places. Rajasic descriptions are downtown descriptions of so many cities, talking about how tall the skyscrapers are and how fast this life moves and how many trains and how many buses are connecting and how people are always rushing for work and there's so much competitive ambitions. That's the Rajasic beauty of any city. But the Sattvic beauty would be Mother Nature, etc. But what is Vishuddha Sattva? Vishuddha Sattva is a state, irrespective of wherever we are, where we remember Krishna. If we forget Krishna, even the most Sattvic places are the attack of material energy. So as far as Trikuta is concerned, or sometimes the description of Indra's abode is concerned, they are expansions of the material energy. And why is that description made? It is made so that we understand that however beautiful it may be, it is like the perfect scene orchestrated for a living being to forget Sri Hari, to forget Sri Krishna. Like for example, Gajendra was in so much peace. He was smelling the lotus pollens from the pond and the milk splashing the mountain ends and the demigods bathing, songs being sung, and different kinds of big juicy fruits and flowers and herbs and trees and mountains and emeralds. So this is a very, very comfortable place. And as a result of which the description goes that Gajendra had no clue of the Supreme Lord. He was not remembering Sri Hari. At least Shukdev Goswami, who is a very sharp observer and orator as far as descriptions are concerned, has not made even a single small hint in that direction. So the lesson that we can learn as to why there is detailed description like this is when people get into comfortable places, even if it is in the mode of goodness, there is high probability of forgetting Krishna. And when we forget Krishna, everything is lost. Smartavyam satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jato chet sarva vidhi nishedastayore lakinkaraha. The Shastra describes that the king of all rules is to remember Krishna. And the king of all don'ts, regulation, is to not forget him. This is the mood at all point. Even if you're making garland, whether we are chanting japa, whether we are doing kirtan, whether we're giving classes, whether we are cooking, this king rule must be remembered. So if we are in a very comfortable situation and we are very much absorbed in that situation, even if it is the most beautiful scenic place, even if it is the most attractive, beautiful place, if we forget Krishna, then we are in tamas. We are in total ignorance. On the other hand, in the most precarious situation, if we remember Krishna, that is Vishuddha Sattva. That is the ray of hope. So Shukdev Goswami is definitely talking about this description, but he is giving us this lesson that if we forget Krishna, or let's say if we are so comfortable in such a beautiful situation, the probability of forgetting Krishna is higher. So there's always a lull before a storm. That's the saying goes. There's always a lull before the storm. So Shukdev Goswami saw that this is a lull. The situation is a lull. So he describes that. And then, of course, there is description of the impending danger that occurs later. The crocodile bite is Krishna's mercy. That is the storm. So similarly, in our lives also, we always have a lull before a storm. So anyway, that description we have gone through in great detail. Shukdev Goswami describes that when the crocodile attacked, the demigods were actually seeing this astonishing fight because they had never seen two animals come together and fight for such a long time, and no one's bowing down and they're not losing strength and they're coming out alive for as long as 1,000 years. So that was astonishing in itself. But however, the description goes, the demigods did not come and try to create some peace by getting the elephant and the crocodile away. It was almost like some kind of astonishing entertainment for them. So they were in their planes, they were on the top of mountains in the sky, mountains, they were also in the sky in their airplane. And in this way, this was astonishing for them to see. No one came to help Gajendra. Shukdev Goswami is very clearly conveying this, that the demigods were seen, but they were at bay. So that also shows that in the material world, there'll be more number of people ready to see a scene, but not come and help. Like literally somebody will be crying out of pain on the side of the street because of some accident or something, and the number of people coming and even filming it on their phone will be high, but the number of people coming and helping would not be that high. I remember when my father had an accident many years ago. He would mention about this, that when he had an accident, he was in the rickshaw and then he had a head-on collision with another vehicle coming the opposite way, and he was thrown out of the auto rickshaw. And this was early in the morning, and he was filled with blood, and his glasses were broken, and he was in the middle of the street. Not many people around, but he's looking for help with blood all over his body because of this accident. And many people came in there and asked what happened, etc., etc., even opened their doors of the cars, came in bikes to see what's happening. They're just looking around, but no one helped. Later on, help came. That was mysteriously beautiful, how that help came. But for now, the discussion as I'm making, the point that I'm making in the discussion is that more number of people will be there to see in the scene, to observe, even take pictures and film it on their phone and even go Facebook Live for that scene, but very few people to actually help. And Gajendra is actually seeing this through practical experience. Gajendra's body, his mind, his sensory power, it's all greatly reducing. But even after reduction of all of that power for 1,000 years, he was way more stronger than the other male elephants. So you can imagine how strong Gajendra was. And on the other hand, the crocodile was moving and flipping his feet, the feet of Gajendra, and he was getting stronger and stronger. So yesterday we were also making the point of being in the most conducive place which suits our Krishna conscious practice. Oftentimes people ask me this question and they discuss, I've overheard people discuss this also amongst themselves, that is India better or is America better? Should we live in India? Should we live in America? The Indians ask, I've seen they ask so many devotees and counselors and other devotees, discussions also, that should we go to America, to make some money and then come back? And then the other Indians around tell them, America is almost like the spiritual world. Once you go there, you never return. Yat gatva na nivartante. Said, my family also relative, he said, I'm going to America and I'll be back, but he never comes back. And on the other hand, when you come here, you fly in and you discuss. You always hear devotees having this discussion that, should I live in America or is it time to wrap up and go back to India? Well, there is no fixed answer whether be here or be there, at least in my insignificant, inexperienced, humble opinion. The perspective is we have to be where our Krishna consciousness will be nourished. Now, if you are moving back to Vrindavan or Mayapur, where you're confident that your Krishna conscious practice will be way more stronger than now, then do as it takes. Do as it takes, whatever is good for your spiritual practice. But on the other hand, if you're going to move to, let's say, Mumbai or Pune or Hyderabad or Chennai or Calcutta, wherever it is, and if you think that being in that city life, you're going to spend more time traveling amidst the traffic, and you're not going to have enough time for your Krishna consciousness, and then at the same time, you're going to be with a lot of commitments with cousins and families and relatives, and first there's mother side cousins and father side cousins, and then you have you see them getting married, and then everyone gets married, and then those who got married previously, then they'll have the child. So then everyone starts getting children, and then after that there's name giving ceremony. So all the kids have name giving ceremony, and then first birthday, and then in this way it continues, and we are expected to attend everything. And if you have an extended family, then it's Gaur Haribol. So we have to see what is conducive. On the other hand, if you think here, the pros and cons are weighed, and you think it's Krishna consciousness is better here, or you think Krishna consciousness is better back in India or in America or in Australia or wherever, or you want to move to some other place, you want to try some Gurukul for the kids, etc. Whatever it takes. So the point I'm making is the primary backbone focus of where we are going to live and what we are going to do. The primary prominent thought process is which circumstance, which environment is going to either maintain or even better increase my Krishna consciousness. That is the consideration. So sthana bhrashtana shobhante danta kesha nakha nara iti vijnaya matiman swasthanam na parityajet. So the Sanskrit poets have explained that sthana bhrashtana shobhante, just like Gajendra, he left his most comfortable place. He could have been in land and chanted and remembered the Supreme Lord. The same Gajendra Stuti that he chanted in water, he could have chanted on land without the trouble. But the problem comes when we leave our comfort zone for more pleasure. We want more pleasure. We want increased sense gratification. So that's when we are caught. So the word says, Thana Bhrashta na Shobhante. We don't perform our best, and we don't look very beautiful from a spiritual perspective when we leave the most conducive environment for Krishna conscious cultivation. Maybe there is a place where you get a job and you're going to make way more money, maybe 2 times the salary. But if there is no Krishna conscious temple, one way to look at it is you're going to start a center there and you're going to start preaching, etc. So that is a brave move. But if not, if we are not the spiritual attacker, so to speak, at least we have to be the spiritual defender. We have to be in a place where there is a strong association, strong community of devotees. Even if that means we're not going to have as much money as a place where there's no temple. We have to see, because what the priority is. And the examples are dantaha, keshaha, nakhaha, naraha. Danta means teeth. When the teeth is inside the mouth, properly placed, then looks very beautiful. When we smile, it is nice. We maintain it with our brush and toothpaste and tooth powder and all of these things and floss, etc. But if that teeth comes out of its position and if it's found on the table or on the floor, it loses its value. It must be in the place of its dignity and honor, or else it loses its value. Danta, teeth. Kesha, hair. Hair looks so beautiful on the head. And of course, if someone has a shaved head with shika, then it looks even more beautiful. But if someone has hair on the head, then they have oil, and then they have shampoo, they comb every day. So then that adds some value to the hair. But that same hair strand, if it's found in the sabji or the dal, then there's no value to the hair anymore because it's fallen from its position. Similarly, nails, nakaha. When it's on the fingers, you have nail spa and nail cutter and artificial nails and whatnot. Nail polish, so many things. Trimmer, nail trimmer, and so many other cosmetic business go on. But if that same nail is lost from its place and it's found on the floor or it's found on the couch, etc., it's very disgusting. So similarly, when a person leaves his place of devotional prominence and loses his Krishna consciousness by bad decision making, then that is not appropriate. So therefore, the lesson is one should be in the most favorable place by proper, diligent thought process, pros and cons analysis as to where one can remember Sri Krishna better. So Gajendra enters the water, and then it is described that Shukdev Goswami, it's interesting, he spends 2 verses of the previous chapter, the last 2 verses, he spends 2 verses to stress this point, how Gajendra called out for Krishna's help. Gajendra literally looked around for help. He saw that the male elephants were not helping, what to speak of the female, what to speak of the kids, what to speak of the demigods, what to speak of other animals who were insignificant. He had lost all hopes. In fact, the family also had lost hopes. They felt now Gajendra is, bichare chale gaye. He will leave his body. He had also started losing hopes. The family had let go. And at that time, when everything was failing, that is when Gajendra looked up for help. He looked up to the Supreme Lord for help. So therefore, Shukdev Goswami, very interestingly, he uses 2 verses to stress on this point, how Gajendra had a change of his thought process and he remembered the Supreme Lord. He never blamed the crocodile, never blamed the situation. He in fact didn't even pray that please kill this crocodile. Nothing. He thought that except for Krishna, no one can help me because he's the one who has arranged the crocodile. The person who has arranged is the one who can release. The demigods did not arrange, so they couldn't release. The other male members didn't arrange, so they couldn't release. The other animals or the female elephants or the kids didn't arrange the crocodile, so they couldn't release. Gajendra was convinced it is Krishna who has arranged the crocodile for him, and therefore only Krishna and no one else can liberate. So Krishna has a name called Mukunda, which means he can liberate everyone at all times. Mukunda Murtna Pranipatya Yache Bhavantam Ekantam Yantam Artham Avismriti Swacharanaravinde Bhave Bhave Mestu Bhavat Prasadat Naham Vande Tava Charanayor Dwandva Madwandva Heto Kumbi Pakam Gurumapi Hare Narakam Napanetum Ramya Rama Mridu Tanulata Nandane Napirantum Bhave Bhave Hridaya Bhavane Bhavayeyam Bhavantam. In the Mukundamala Stotra text 3 and 4, King Kulashekara Alva, back and forth, 2 verses he invokes Mukunda by saying what is his only prayer. He says, Mukunda Murtna Pranipatya Yache. With my head at your lotus feet, I am begging, Yache, Bhavantam Ekantam Iyantam Artham. I am asking you only one desire, one pointed desire, my Lord. Placing my head at your lotus feet, I ask for only one thing, Mukunda. Avismritihi Twacharanaravinde Bhave Bhave Mestu Bhavat Prasadat. My Lord, I am not asking you for anything. I am just asking you that may I never forget you. Bhave Bhave. Lifetime after lifetime, Bhavat Prasadat. By your mercy, let me never forget you. In the next verse, he says, My Lord, please don't try to trick me. I am not trying to remember your lotus feet. Naham vande tava charanayor dvandvam advandva hetu. I am not trying to hold the feet, which are two lotus feet, to be released from the two. What is that two? The duality of this world, the good and the bad. We all want to be free from suffering and we want happiness. So Kulashekara is saying that I am not holding your 2 feet to get rid of the two natures, which is the duality of this world, nor am I trying to hold your lotus feet, my Lord. Kumbhi pakam gurumapi hare narakam napanetum. Kumbhipaka is one of the most prominently quoted hells we find out of the 28 hells that Shukdev Goswami mentions in the 5th canto. Kumbhipakam is a prominent one, which has been quoted by many, many poets and devotees also. It is the planet of the boiling oil. So, Kumbhipakam gurumapi hare narakam napanetum. My Lord, I am not trying to hold your lotus feet in my mind to be free from the entrance into Kumbhipak. If that is what you want to send me, so be it. Nor am I trying to remember you, Ramya Rama Mridu Tanu Lata Nandane Napirantum. I don't want to enjoy any of Indra's apsaras in the Nandana Kanana gardens. Nandana Kanana, the pleasure gardens of heaven. I don't want that. I don't want freedom from this material world. I don't want freedom from hell. I don't want entrance into heaven. The reason I want to hold your lotus feet, my Lord, is just so that I remember you. Whether it is happiness or distress, I don't want to forget you. I was hearing a very beautiful class of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and Maharaj was mentioning this point, that we are not afraid of anything in this world as much as we are afraid of forgetting Krishna. Why? Because the body has been perished so many times. In the past lives also, we have been animals and we have been killed. Even we have been humans and we have been killed. And believe it or not, there is not a single criminal act that we have not gone through. We have been murdered, we have been kidnapped, we have been even raped and molested so many times in the past lives. It's a sad reality, it's a bad reality to think about. Krishna very mercifully erases our memory so that we don't remember all this. But we have gone through all of that. We have had accidents, we have fallen from great heights, we have had car crash, we have had airplane crash. We have had so many different kinds of complications. We have gone through all of that. We have really gone through bomb blasts. We have had all of that. But it's still not solved our problem. We have still taken one more boat. So we are not afraid of going through that because we have had past experience of it. But one thing we have never done from time immemorial is remember Krishna at the time of death. So Maharaj was explaining, we are not afraid of dying one more time. We are afraid of forgetting Krishna while dying one more time. Because if we forget Krishna, we enter another mother's womb. On the other hand, if we remember Krishna, that is the end. So here Gajendra is coming to that point of remembering Krishna, understanding that no one else except Mukunda, the giver of liberation, can protect me. And therefore Shukdev Goswami, he gives 2 verses to make that point. So with that change of heart, now we get to text 1 of chapter 3, canto 8. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manoridhi Jajapa Paramam Japyam Pragjan Manyanusikshitam. Translation. Srila Shukdev Goswami continued. Thereafter the king of elephants Gajendra fixed his mind in his heart with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra which he had learnt in his previous birth as Indradyumna and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna. So there are 3 points here in this verse. The first point is Gajendra fixing his mind in Krishna with perfect intelligence. That is the first point. Having being completely convinced that no one in this world can help me and it's only Krishna. This is the first conviction. So I'll repeat again. Point number 1 for this verse is no one in this world, nothing in this world, nowhere in this world, at no time in this world do I have any other shelter except Krishna. And in this conviction, keeping our mind absorbed in Krishna. This is the first thing that Gajendra does. Second thing that he does is he chants a mantra. with his tongue. Jajapa paramam japyam. He chanted a parama japya, a great mantra. And in the purport Prabhupada, I want to read that. We get to, yeah. So in the last paragraph of the purport, Prabhupada says, it is imperative therefore that all devotees in Krishna consciousness practice chanting some mantra. Certainly one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the Maha Mantra or great mantra. Why is Prabhupada saying Maha Mantra, great mantra? Because it says, Jajapa Paramam Japyam. Gajendra chanted the Parama Japa, the great Japa. And continuing in the purport, and also one should practice chanting Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha, which is the Brahma Samhita prayer. Brahma Samhita. Or the Narasimha Stotra, Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Narasimha. Every devotee should practice in order to chant some mantra perfectly, so that even though he may be imperfect in spiritual consciousness in this life, in his next life he will not forget Krishna consciousness, even if he becomes an animal. Of course, a devotee should try to perfect his Krishna consciousness in this life, for simply by understanding Krishna and his instructions, after giving up this body, one can return home back to Godhead. Even if there is some fall down, practice of Krishna consciousness never goes in vain. For example, Ajamila, in his boyhood, practiced chanting the name of Narayana under the direction of his father. But later in his youth, he fell down and became a drunkard, a woman hunter, rogue and thief. Prabhupada is very descriptive. Nonetheless, because of chanting the name of Narayana for the purpose of calling his son, whom he had named Narayana, he became advanced, even though he was involved in sinful activities. Therefore, we should not forget the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra under any circumstance. It will help us in the greatest danger, as we find in the life of Gajendra. So this is the second thing that Gajendra does. He calls out the name of the Supreme Lord. And the third point, first point is Gajendra being completely convinced that nothing, no one, nowhere, no time, no circumstance can give me shelter. Not even the mind and the power that I have, the prowess that I have. I could impress a few animals around with my big, thunderous walking steps, and I can maybe even tremble the Trikuta mountain. But ultimately, it doesn't help. It doesn't work in front of the crocodile of problems or crocodile of death. So the only thing I have to do is take shelter of Krishna. And the way I do that is by investing my mind in remembering Krishna. So that's the first point. Second point is not just the mind. He also invests in chanting the great mantra. So this is the Gajendra Stuti. And the third point important for us is Prak Janmani Anushikshitam. That which he had practiced in his previous life and which Krishna invoked. Now here Prabhupada writes very beautifully. Although in the original Sanskrit it is not there. You see, Evam Vyavasito Buddhya with Vyavasai. So Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekeha Kurunandana. Krishna talks about Vyavasitaha Buddhi, which means one-pointed intellect. Samadhaya, like dha, the word dha means like dhimahi, to hold, to concentrate. And mana ridhi. So with one-pointed intellect that no one except Krishna, Gajendra, what did he do? He invested his mind in remembering. And then second, Jajapa Paramam Japyam, he chanted the mantra, which Prag Janmani Anushikshitam. Shikshitam means practiced. Anushikshitam means again and again he practiced. The word Anu has many meanings. One meaning of the word Anu means repeatedly, regularly, continuously. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Anusmrityo Kramena Rasana. See, Anu again. So continuously, Anushikshitam, he practiced it again and again. Also the word Anu means Anugatya. Anugatya means to practice under a guru, a great soul. So what he had practiced in his previous life under the shelter of his Gurudev. Also Anu means Anukul Bhavena. Anukulya, Krishna Anushilanam. To practice something in a very favorable way. So in his past life, previous birth, he had practiced all of this repeatedly under the superior guidance in a very favorable way. However, Prabhupada adds one more point in the translation. He says, by the grace of Krishna. This is a very, very important point. Only by the grace of Krishna is the whole thing possible, because it is Krishna who invoked remembrance in the heart of Gajendra. Nothing happens without Krishna's grace. We can chant even 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh or how many lakhs we want, or we can even do Nirjal on Ekadashi, and we can be very austere, and we can do so much of service. But ultimately, it must all soften the heart of Krishna, and only by his grace will it all make sense. Mother Yashoda could run as much as she could, even ended up holding Krishna, catching Krishna, she who caught him from behind, she who ran faster, and then caught him from behind, that Mother Yashoda. She caught him, but to bind Damodar, it needed his mercy. We always talk about the 2-finger shot. So the first finger is our endeavor, and the second is Krishna's mercy. So we can put in our best endeavor, but everything gets completed by Krishna's grace. Therefore, Brahmaji in his Brahma Stuti, he says, Athapite deva padambuja dvayam prasada leshanugrahita evahi janami tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya ekopi chiran vichinvan. This is Canto 10, Chapter 14, Text 29. My Lord, ultimately everything makes sense only by your grace. When you decide, only then it is possible. We can try to jump as tall as we can, but ultimately that is not going to bind. I may perform all my services and my sadhana and my swadhyaya and all of these things, but if it doesn't invoke Krishna's kripa, then what is the point? Even in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, Krishna says, Matchitta sarvadurgani mat prasadat tarishyasi. That you just give your mind to me, but by that you will not cross all problems. When you give your mind to me, I give my mercy to you. When I give my mercy to you, you cross all problems. Krishna says, Matchitta. You just give your chitta, your mind to me. At that time, sarvadurgani tarishyasi. You will cross all problems. Mat prasadat, by my mercy. So Prabhupada is adding that very beautiful point, that it is only by the grace of Krishna that anything is possible. So we will discuss these 3 points now of this verse that we can learn from Gajendra. First of all is to have ananya bhav. Nothing in this world can help me except Krishna. No one. You see, in this world, people, if we get hurt, or let's say we get hospitalized, people can maybe send messages. Oh, please take care. We heard this about your accident. We heard about your problem. We are there with you. We are praying for you. Please take care. Kindly, please take care of yourself. They may send some messages like that. Or some may go one step ahead, and they may offer some monetary help in the hospitalization. And some may even come ahead. They may even come to the hospital and give some food, and they can relieve the relative at night, and they can do night duty. Because sometimes the relatives, they get so tired taking care of the patient that they have to sit all day and night. So people may come and replace and relieve them at night, saying that you go home, I will take care of the patient at night if in case there is some emergency. But this is the maximum they can do. When death is striking, when the parameters are dipping, even doctors cannot do anything. There is a saying, of course, I'm going live through Adi Gadadhar Prabhu's profile, who's a doctor himself. So this is not for devotee doctors. But in general, there is a saying that a doctor injects a medicine into the body of the patient. So the doctor injects a medicine that he knows very little about into the body of the patient that he knows nothing about. So this is the nature of this world. Vaidyaraja namastubhyam yamaraja sahodaraha yamatu harati pranan tutva pranan dhanani cha. That the doctors are considered to be materialistically, those who are mundane and materialistic, and they are profit-oriented, money-making orientation. They are considered to be the brothers of Yamaraj. Yamatu harati pranan. Yamaraj only takes the pran, but the doctors tutva pranan dhanani cha. They first take the wealth and then they take the person. So like that. So this is the nature of this world. We can give kind words, we can give some monetary help, we can give some, in-person help, but that's all. When death strikes, everyone puts their hand up. Even doctors come and say, "Ab sab upar wale ke haath mein hai." Everything is in the hands of God. So Gajendra is coming to this point of realization that nothing can help me except the Supreme Lord, because all the other male elephants, they're pulling the tail of Gajendra. That's all. They're not able to do anything else. One after another, they're pulling the tail. They're not even able to enter water, thinking if Gajendra went inside water and there is one crocodile, if another elephant gets him, there could be another hidden crocodile. So we are ready to be here. We are offering our blessings from a distance. And Gajendra is seeing all his plans failing. Nothing materially is helping him. In fact, a very famous millionaire, he had so many bodyguards around his big mansion. He had, he had people with arms, guns. He had big bouncers protecting him, bodyguards. He had close to 10 doctors taking rounds constantly to see if he's okay and there's nothing, no problem, etc. So he just wanted to make sure that no one is able to reach to him. Even the food that comes to him, it used to be tested before it gets into his mouth. Every medicine that he's given was properly administered and properly given. So he wanted to make sure that he lives long. But it was mysterious that he slept off and he left his body in the sleep. Now who can protect him? Who can protect him? Baliyasi kevalam ishwarecha. Ultimately, it's only the will of providence, the will of the Supreme Lord that works. I remember another story that one devotee was telling me in his family. One relative of his had a weak heart, very weak heart. So he had had a heart attack in the past. So he would keep a pill in his pocket just in case if there is chest pain, he can pop in a pill immediately to save him. And it so happened that he had the pill in his pocket and he suddenly got a heart attack, and immediately his jaws, his teeth started clenching, and he put his hand into his pocket. He had the pill in his hand, but because the jaws were clenched, the pill fell off from his hand and he left his body. So the pill was so close to the mouth, but the attack was so severe that he didn't even have enough time to put that pill in his mouth. So this is how the nature of this material world is. Nothing can actually help us except the Supreme Lord. So Gajendra is coming to this complete conclusion and he's taking one pointed shelter. So this is the most important thing. We have to keep telling ourselves that nothing except the Supreme Lord will help me. No one except the Supreme Lord is there for me. No one, absolutely no one. This morning, His Grace Hare Krishna Prabhu was speaking a beautiful class at the Bhakti Sangha conference call. I felt immensely blessed hearing a few perspectives, how he was tying the corona pandemic situation to Bhakti. And Prabhu made a very beautiful point. He said that you can chant so much japa, but ultimately your mind must be absorbed. Your mind must be absorbed. And he said, if you call someone and the person looks to you and says, yes, what do you want? And if you just keep calling his name, he will say, yes, what do you want? But if you don't express your heart to him, then that is not the fructification of the chanting. So he was making a very beautiful point that the mind must be absorbed. We must tell Krishna that Krishna, Tava Asmi, I belong to you. My Lord, there is no one who belongs to me. You may have many servants, but I have only one master. You may pick or not pick service from me. You may decide to take service from me or not decide to take service from me. But my Lord, I have no other master to go and serve. So please kindly give me some service. So in this way, we should be one-pointed in our approach. I remember once speaking to His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu when I was in Boston. And I was very, very fascinated by his level of surrender to the preaching movement because he travels so much. So I asked His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu that Prabhu was mentioning about his polio and how it is difficult for him to travel. So I asked him that if I told Prabhuji that if I were in your place, I would think that, oh, it is difficult for me to walk and travel and move around. So I have to better get married to someone who can take care of me. So I asked Prabhu, didn't you have these thoughts? It's so difficult to be a brahmachari when you're having trouble in traveling. So Prabhu smiled and he told me, I analyzed that Krishna is taking care of those who have 8 legs. He is taking care of those who have 4 legs. He takes care of those who have 2 legs. So why won't he take care of someone who has 1 leg? And I was completely, my jaw hit the floor when I heard this. And he said, therefore, my Krishna has given me this situation, and my situation, my desire is to offer this body back to him. And he makes a very beautiful statement. He says, I live to write for Krishna. I write to live for Krishna. So this represents, you see the clear-cut distinction between the consciousness of a devotee who has no other agenda in this world except looking up towards Sri Krishna. Also, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, medically speaking, when the doctors were working through the transplant recently, the liver transplant and the kidney transplant, etc., the doctors were actually putting their hand up to say that at Jayapataka Maharaj's age and health condition, absolutely there is there is so much risk in this surgery. In fact, they went on to say, after the surgery was done, they said that if it was any other person in this situation, then they wouldn't have survived this long. But it's only Jayapataka Maharaj's one-pointed will to preach and spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he's actually there, fighting against all odds, looking towards Krishna. So Jayapataka Maharaj and all the other devotees were very, very pure in their intent. They are like Gajendra. They may be bitten by so many crocodile-like situations, but they don't ask help to anything or anyone. They are one-pointed looking towards the Supreme Lord, offering their heart and their services in Krishna's, at the lotus feet of Krishna. So this is the first point, to be completely convinced that we have no one in this world except the Supreme Lord, and to take one-pointed shelter. Because it is a fact that the snake of death is swallowing all of us. When we are born, the snake is almost about to eat us up. And then when we are about 25 years old, the snake has eaten us up to the knee. And then when we are about 50 years old, the snake has swallowed us. The snake of death has swallowed us up to the waist. And when we are about 75, if we live that long, the snake of death has taken us up to the shoulder. And anything after that is God's grace. So we are always under the control of the grip of the snake of death. Therefore, no one except Krishna, who has subdued the snake twice, once as Aghasur and once as Kaliya, can save us from the snake of death. Shri Krishna Sharanam Samasta Jagatam Krishnam Vina Kagati Krishnena Pratihanyate Kalimalam Krishnaya Karyam Namaha Krishna Trasyati Kala Bhima Bhujago Krishnasya Sarvam Vashe Krishne Bhakti Rakhandita Bhavatu Me Bho Krishna Tvameva Ashrayah. Very beautiful words. Krishna, the name Krishna has been invoked 8 times. Shri Krishna Sharanam Samasta Jagatam. Samasta Jagatam Sharanam Shri Krishna. So the first invocation, Shri Krishna, is He who is the ultimate shelter of the whole creation. Samasta Jagatam Sharanam. And second Krishna, Krishnam Vina Kagati. If we don't go to that shelter, what other shelter do we have? We take shelter of our phone. How many hours can we be there having screen time? How many hours can we be on our laptop? How long can we have a bath? How long can we go for a world tour? How long can we eat the most luxurious and sumptuous items? How long can we enjoy the company of the opposite sex? How long can we enjoy living in a big mansion or going in very opulent cars? How long can we enjoy having very opulent, sporty watches and other gadgets? How long does it last? No. Once it's gone, we are complacent and we are bored. We want a replacement. But on the other hand, those who take shelter of Krishna, they never even in their dreams want a replacement, because this is Amrita Varshani. This is such a beautiful shelter. So Krishnam Vina Kagati. Apart from Krishna, what other shelter do we have? Krishnena Pratihanyate Kalimalam Krishnaya Karyam Namaha. The third invocation is He who destroys. Krishnena Pratihanyate. We know the word hanyate. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. To destroy. Krishnena pratihanyate kalimalam Krishnaya karyam namaha. So the third Krishna, the third invocation to Krishna is that Krishna who destroys all the mala, kali mala. Kalyananam nidhanam, kali mala mathanam pavanam pavananam. So kali mala mathanam. Krishna destroys all the impurities, the contamination in our heart. And therefore, fourth invocation, Krishnaya Karyam Namaha. We bow down to the pastimes of Krishna, just by hearing which we become attached to Him. Even Rukmini Devi has said the same thing. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shrunvatam ye nirvishya karna vivarai haratongatapam rupam drisham drishimatam akhilarthalabham. Very beautiful. She has offered her prayers in the Srimad Bhagavatam, saying that, my Lord, just by hearing your qualities, Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shrunvatam ye nirvishya karna vivarai haratongatapam. Just by hearing your transcendental qualities, the heat of lust and anger and all other heat in the body of distress, of suffering, of lamentation, of hankering, of fear, it has all gone. Rupam drisham drishimatam akhilarthalabham. Just by looking at your form and hearing about your qualities, one becomes apatrapam me. My Lord, O Shri Krishna, my mind restlessly takes shelter of you, shamelessly takes shelter of you. Tyajantu bandhava sarve nindantu guravo jana tathapi paramanando govindo mama jivanam. Kulashekar Alvar says, Tyajantu bandhava sarve. Let all my friends leave me. And nindantu guravo jana. Let my superiors criticize me. Tathapi paramanando govindo mama jivanam. The only point I want to say is Govinda is my life and soul. So Krishnaya Karyam Namaha. That is the fourth Krishna. Now the fifth Krishna. Krishna Trasyati Kala Bhima Bhujago. The serpent of death that we were talking about, who's eating us up, the only person who can destroy is Krishna. Other incarnations don't have as many pastimes with the snake as much as Krishna. So Krishna Trasyati Kala Bhima Bhujago. That very big, black, dangerous, deadly snake of death, which is swallowing us day by day in the form of problems. Only Krishna protects. Therefore, Krishnasya sarvam vashe. Everything is under Krishna's control. Therefore, the seventh Krishna, Krishne bhaktir akhandita bhavatu me. May I have akhandita bhakti. May I have uninterrupted bhakti at the lotus feet of Krishna. Bho Krishna twam eva ashraya. You alone are the resting place of my mind. We can go for a world tour. We can go to Germany, we can go to France, we can go to Belgium, we can go to Italy, we can go to Spain, we can go to all over the place. But ultimately, when we come back to our house, our residence, and we put the key in and we open the door and we see our house, maximum happiness is got at that time. When we come and we sit in the couch of our house and we say, oh, finally we are home. So similarly, our mind at the moment doesn't have a house, doesn't have a home to rest. It's going from place to place to place to place, thinking that I will be happy. So the mind is doing a Bhumandal Parikrama at the moment. But finally, when the mind gets the shelter of Sri Krishna's lotus feet, I have come home. This is where I actually belong. So Gajendra is completely convinced of that fact. And evam vyavasito buddhya, with intellect, samadhaya manoridhi, he has put his mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. This is the perfection of our life, to give our mind to Krishna. And how many times has Krishna said the same thing? Savai mana Krishna padar vindayo vachamsi vaikuntha gunanuvarnanam. Same point. Even when Maharaj Ambarish has been described, the first thing described is Savai mana Krishna padar vindayo. His mind was at the lotus feet of Krishna. First point. All the limbs are described one after another. But the first point is mind must be absorbed. So this point we have to ask. When I'm cooking for Krishna, is my mind absorbed? Am I hearing some class and with this consciousness that I'm actually cooking for Krishna? Through the tongue we can say, oh, I am cooking for Krishna. I'm not cooking for anyone else. I'm speaking Hare Katha for Krishna. Oh, I'm singing Kirtan for Krishna. I'm chanting Japa for Krishna. But we have to actually touch our heart. And with sincerity, we have to introspect. Am I actually doing this for Krishna? Or is there a hidden agenda behind this? If I cook for public, is there a hidden agenda that when the sweet comes up very good, people will ask who cooked? And then I get all the accolade in the form of respect and adoration. It is a very subtle thing. Stuti, the desire for stuti, pratisthasha, is the last thing to leave the jiva before we get to the lotus feet of Krishna. So we have to ask, am I chanting japa for Krishna's pleasure? Am I doing kirtan actually for Krishna's pleasure? Am I speaking Hari Katha actually for Krishna's pleasure? Am I hearing Bhagavatam for Krishna's pleasure? Am I cooking for Krishna's pleasure? Am I making garlands for Krishna's pleasure? Yesterday I was hearing a very beautiful class And the speaker was very wonderfully mentioning this point that we our devotion is tested by not by the parameter of how much we do a certain thing. It is about how sincerely we do it. Krishna does not see what you place in front of him. Krishna sees what we hide behind our back while placing that thing in front of him. Our intentions are the main focus for Krishna. Krishna can smell our intentions. Krishna can hear our intentions louder than people can hear our words. So it's possible we can pluck one flower and offer it to Krishna, and that can put Krishna in debt by that offering. Someone may externally think, what is there in a flower? I actually gave so much donation, or I did this, I did that. But it's not about what we did. It's about how we did what we did. It could be very insignificant. It could be the contribution of a sparrow. It could be the contribution of a squirrel. It could be the contribution of an ant. Not everyone has to be Hanuman. It could be the best of our ability. Krishna is just going to see the best that we can and the intention in which we do it. So mind must be absorbed. Avismritir Krishna padara vindayo kshinoti abhadrani cha shamtanoti sattvasya shuddhim paramatma bhaktim jnanam cha vijnana viraga yuktam. The Bhagavatam, the 12th canto describes, 12th canto, 12th chapter, that when we remember Krishna's lotus feet and don't forget Krishna in our activities, 7 things happen auspiciously in our life. Avismritir Krishna padara vindayo kshinoti abhadrani. First of all inauspiciousness in our life reduces. And sham tanoti, all auspiciousness increase. So we don't have to go to an astrologer to see what we have to do. Some astrological help is always in times of crucial times, let's say marriage, or crucial times like, there is a big change in life. Some astrological help is always fine. But that never replaces our faith in Krishna. Ultimately, Krishna is the controller. The astrological chart is controlled by the planets. But who is there beyond the planets who's controlling the planets? That is Krishna. That is Krishna. The planets control. The planets are called graha. But beyond the grahas is Krishna's anugraha. Krishna's mercy. Krishna's anugraha. So we sometimes want to know, how do I remove the inauspiciousness in my life? How do I increase the auspiciousness of happiness in my life? So this verse says, if we spend time remembering Krishna, how do we remember Krishna? Well, yesterday I was hearing Srila Gajendra Prabhu making a very beautiful point in the mood of chanting. Prabhu said that we have to think about Krishna. If we are chanting, and if we are not making a fervent endeavor to develop a relationship with Krishna, as His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj mentions in the Japa workshops, that we should treat the holy name as a person. It's a one-to-one meeting with the Supreme Lord. Just like one time when His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj was the temple president in Juhu temple, there were some guests who had come to meet him. And one brahmachari came in and told Giriraj Maharaj at that time that some guests have come, some donors have come to meet you. Giriraj Maharaj sent the message saying that, tell them I'm busy. I'm chanting japa. Please tell them I'm busy. So this brahmachari went and gave the message, but he came back and he asked Giriraj Maharaj, you said you're busy, but you're actually sitting and chanting japa. Giriraj Maharaj then said that if you get an appointment with the president of the country, will you look at anything else except him? No. Then what to speak of the president of all presidents? So chanting japa, our mind must be absorbed. We must personalize this experience. So Amarendra Prabhu was saying that we are not a path of impersonalism. We want to personalize our meditation. So we all have, the best way is we can sit in front of the deity, or Amarendra Prabhu was mentioning, we all get attracted to some picture of Krishna more than other pictures. So that is one way to sit there and focus. We can offer our heart by being attracted by Krishna. That how the hair is made, how the pagdi has been made, the feta has been made. Look at his kamarband, look at his very beautiful hands and how the flute is being played. Look at the gopi dots, how the smile is there. And all the beautiful dots made on his elbow and in his fingers, and how there are butterflies around his body. So in this way, we get attracted to some pictures of Krishna, some forms of Krishna. And in that way, we can sit and chant japa. And by doing that, as we were mentioning, 7 things happen according to the Bhagavatam. Shinoti abhadrani, inauspicious things according to prarabdha karma reduce, and sham tanoti, auspicious things increase. Third, sattvasya shuddhim, consciousness gets cleansed. Fourth, paramatma bhaktim, one gets devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna. And fifth, jnanam, one gets transcendental knowledge. Jnanam, vijnana, one gets realization of that truth. And seventh, viraga yuktam, one gets renunciation from material sense gratification. So 7 things happen by remembering Krishna. This is why time and again we are told to remember Krishna. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayet. Rup Goswami says mind must be absorbed by some means or the other. Some means. Mind must be absorbed. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Krishna is saying you do kirtan and you do naman, but you constantly be absorbed, you constantly be in touch with me. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam preeti purvakam. Do bhajan with preeti. Do all your services offering your mind to me with love, preeti. Don't just mechanically move your hands, but offer your heart, Krishna is saying. Ananyas chintayanto mam. He is not just saying chintanam, he says ananyas chintayanto mam. Anya means something else, ananya means nothing else. So to be absorbed with Krishna, that Krishna, I want to offer my mind. Indriyanam manaschasmi. Among the senses, you are the mind. So I want to offer your mind back to your lotus feet. Like that. So in this way, many, many verses are there. Mai asakta manaha partha. Again, mana. Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmanaha. So again, Krishna is saying, offer your mind to me. Man mana bhavamad bhakto. This verse has come twice. Give your mind to me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Again and again, remember me, O Arjuna. So in this way, so many verses are there to remember Krishna. It is very, very important. Even while hearing Hare Katha, we should make an attempt to constantly remember him. To constantly hear and remember what we have heard. Tat shrunvan supathan vicharana paro bhaktya vimuchen naraha. Vicharana paro, one should contemplate and remember Krishna. Even while chanting our Gayatri, we should remember the Supreme Lord. So in all services, we should try to remember the Supreme Lord. So out of the 3 things that are happening in this verse, the first line is Evam Vyavasito Buddhya, with one pointed intellect, that nothing in this world can help me except Samadhaya Manoridhi, except the one who is living in my heart. I want to give my mind to my heart. Very interesting. Ridhi means heart and Mana means mind. So Samadhaya Manoridhi, Gajendra put his mind in his heart. Who is in the heart? Krishna. So Evam Vyavasito Buddhya means to be having one pointed intellect, that except Krishna, I have nothing. And second point is, of the first line, to give the mind to him. Ananyatvam, Asharanyatvam, that my Lord, Ananyatvam, only one pointed, and Sharanyatvam, this mood that I don't have any other Sharan except you. 2 points. Asharanyatvam means apart from you, I have no other shelter. And Ananyatvam, in taking your shelter also, I am one pointed in being selfless. So I don't want shelter from anyone else because no one can give me. And when I come to you, Krishna, I don't want to fulfill any of my desire except to be constantly connected with you in loving mood. So this is the first point of Gajendra. Second point is to chant the mantra, and third point is how Krishna helps him by invoking memory from past life. These 2 points we will cover tomorrow in our discussion of the Gajendra Moksha Stuti from the 3rd chapter of the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you all devotees for kindly joining in and for giving your auspicious participation in this virtual distant learning Hare Katha program. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha ananta koti bhakta vrinda ki jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we meet tomorrow again at same time, same place. It's going to be 7 to 8 Eastern Standard Time, and the platform is Facebook Audio Live, going from Adi Gadadhar Prabhu's profile. So it's going to be the same place, same time. Let us all meet together again and continue our study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.